everyone. Today we're going to teach you how to solve different problems with different solutions. Let's get started. The distance from ICTHS to the nearest hospital is 1,800 meters to the left of ICTHS, and the distance to the nearest mall on the right side is 7,100 meters. What is their distance? Since it's on the left side, it should be negative. The formula is absolute value of x minus y, which is absolute value of negative 1,800 minus 7,100 equals negative 8,900, which is equivalent to 8,900 meters. John decided to sell his house and meet his client, who wants to end the deal with an amount of 1,750,000, and his client refused and makes an offer of 1,600,000 pesos. They agreed to meet halfway. How much would be the amount of the lot? The formula for midpoint is x plus y over 2, which is 1,750,000 pesos plus 1,600,000 over 2. Is equal to 3,350,000 pesos over 2 equals 1,675,000 pesos. What is the distance between the line segment AB if A is 4, negative 3 and B is negative 2, 6? The formula for this is square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. In this case, I used negative 2, 6 as my x sub 1, y sub 1, and for negative 3 as my x sub 2, y sub 2. So I substituted the values. 4 minus negative 2 squared plus negative 3 minus 6 squared equals square root of 6 squared plus negative 9 squared equals square root of 36 plus 81 is equal to square root of 117.
What is the midpoint of line segment BD if B is 4 and 5 and D is 7, 2? We will find out. So we will be doing the x first for the midpoint. So 7, then we will add 4 since that's a formula. Then it will be divided by 2, which is also in the formula. Then we will continue the solution. 7 plus 4 is 11 over 2. If we simplify this, it will become 5 and 1/2. And 5 and 1/2 will be the answer for this midpoint. And that is x sub 2 and x sub 1, and that's the formula I use. Now we will be doing y, which is this formula. So y sub 2 is 2 over there and 5 is y sub 1. So y sub 2 is 2 plus 5. It will be divided by 2. Then if we add them, it's 7 over 2. Once again, we will simplify this into mixed number. It will become 3 and 1/2. And that's it. Point K is 2 and negative 1, and point B is 3 and 2. And the point Z divides the line segment KB externally in the ratio 2:3. Find the coordinates of Z. So our K is 2 and negative 1, which is our x sub 1 and y sub 1, and B is our x sub B and y sub B. So we are finding x sub 2 here. So first is 2 and x sub 2 since it's missing. Then 3 times 2, which is our x sub 1 over in the K and point K over there. Then 2 plus 3, which is m plus n. So the 3 over here is in the point B, which is our x sub p, which substituted it, and 2x sub 2 and plus 6, we just multiply them, and 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Now for this one, we will just multiply both sides by 5. So 5 times 3 is 15, and this is 2x plus 6. It's basically just the same. Now we'll move on here. It's 15 minus 6 because we transpose 6 to the other side, which makes it negative. So 15 minus 6 will be equal to 9 over there. So 2x sub 2 is equal to 9. And then we will just divide them by 2. Then x sub 2 is equal to 9. For this one, I will try to explain it furthermore in detail. So 3 and 2 is our x sub p and y sub p, and k, which is 2 and negative 1, is our x sub 1 and y sub 1. So let's start with 2 times y sub 2, since it is missing, plus 3, which is the ratio, which is n, times negative 1, which is our y sub 1. Then m plus n is 2 plus 3, which is 5. So y sub b, we will substitute the point B, which is the y-intercept is 2. So 2 is equal to, we will just multiply 2 and y sub 2. So 2 and y sub 2 plus negative 3. Then over 5. Correcting this, it looks bad, so now it's better. Now we will just multiply both sides by 5 because the 5 is our denominator. So 5 times 2 is 10. So this one is basically dividing it, and we get the reciprocal for this one. So 5, then 5, they can be cancelled. So it's basically just copying it. Let me just erase this. So it will be just 2y sub 2 minus 3. Then we will continue from the other side. So we'll just transpose 3 to the other side, which makes it 10 plus 3 is equal to 2y sub 2. Then if we add them, they will become 13 and 2y sub 2. You can change their position if you want, but we can just keep it like this. So y sub 2 is equal to 13 over 2. Or 6 and 1/2. This is the simplified form. So we will plot the points. So let's go with k, which is 2 and negative 1 over there. Now point B, which is 3 as x sub b and 2 as y sub b. So 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2. It's in between there. Now the z, which is our x sub 2 and y sub 2, which we solved for earlier. So 4 and 1/2, it's between 4 and 5. Now for y, which is 6 and 1/2, we'll count 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's beyond my graph, so I'll just make it so it looks like it. It's probably between those. And that's it. Now let me just make a straight line. Even it's not straight, it's straighter than James Charles. But okay. And there. So for this one, we will just have to label the points. So this is our point Z, which is 9 over 2 and 13 over 2. So we just copy that. And that will be our point Z. Sorry for my ugly handwriting. And for this one, which is 3 and 2, which is our point B. For this one is point K, 2 and negative 1. And so we're done. Thank you. External for case 2 and point K will be our x sub p and y sub p, and point B will be our x sub 1 and y sub 1. M and N, which is our ratio, is 2:3, and this will be our formulas that we will use. So for external, we will be looking for the extension, which is x sub 2 and y sub 2. So I already did x sub 2 and I will just explain it. So 2 is x sub p over there, we just substituted it, so it's 2. Then m is 2, so 2 x sub 2 since we are looking for it, plus 3, which is n, times 3, which is our x sub 1 over there. Then m plus n, which is 2 plus 3, and that's 5. Now we will have to multiply both sides by 5 because it is the denominator of this side. It needs to be both sides since it is a linear equation. So 5 times 2 is 10. So if we multiply it by 5, it's basically just the same. We'll just have to multiply this. So 2x sub 2, 2 times x sub 2 is 2x sub 2 plus 9. So this is what we got. I already simplified it to the y sub 2, we will be using this formula. So y sub b is negative 1 is equal to m 2 y sub 2. There's no y sub 2. It's because we are looking for it, plus 3 times 2, and 2 plus 3, which is m plus n, is already equal to 5. Then we again multiply both sides by 5. So 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Then if we multiply it by itself, it just basically becomes like that, 5 over 1. Then you cancel them. So if we multiply this, it will come 2y sub 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. So we just need to transpose 6 into the other side. So negative 5 minus 6, 2y sub 2. So this is basically negative 11. So let me write that. So it's negative 11. So it's basically 2y sub 2 over negative 11, or y sub 2 negative 11 over 2. That's our y sub. This is the graph from what we have solved, and I already plotted them, so I'll just explain it. So k over there, 2 and negative 1 is this one, which is our x sub p, y sub p, the internal of the line. X sub 1 and y sub 1 is here, 3 and 2, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, so it's just right. And z, which is our x sub 2 and y sub 2, and the extension of the line. So it's 1/2 over here, it's between 0 and 1, and negative 11 over 2. It can also be read as negative 5 and 1/2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1/2, so it's here, and 1/2 for our x, so it's in here. So it makes a straight line, and that's pretty much it. Internal, b is 3, 6, and c is negative 2, 3. They are two given points, and point A divides the line segment BC internally in the ratio 4:3. Find coordinates of A. So we will be using this formula, which is x sub p is equal to mx sub 2 plus nx sub 1 over m plus n, and m and n are the ratio over there, which is 4:3, and that's the points that we are gonna be using. That's y sub p, and we will do x sub p first. So we will write m first, which is the ratio, which is 4 times negative 2, which is our x sub 2, plus, and then n, which is our ratio, 3. Then the x sub 1 is 3, so 3 times 3 over 4 plus 3, which is m plus n, which is already 7. Then we will solve this. 4 times negative 2 is equals to negative 8, and 3 times 3 is positive 9 over 7. If we add negative 8 and 9, they will become 1 over 7. And that's our x sub p. Now we will move on to y sub p. Our y-intercept are 3 and 6, and that's the formula that we will use. So the ratio again is m and n, which is 4:3. So 4 first, then 3, which is our y sub 2, plus 3, then times 6, which is our y sub 1. Then over m plus n, which is 4 and 3, so 4 plus 3 is equal to 7 again. So we will add this. So 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18 over 7. So if we add 12 and 18, they become 30 over 7. Then we can simplify this into a mixed number, which is 4 and 2, 7. And that is our y sub p. So we will now plot the points, and first is b, which is 3, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's in there. That's letter B, or point B. Then C is negative 2, 3. The negative 2 is x, so it's going to the left, and then 3 up, which is y. And that's our points, B and C. X sub p and y sub p is letter A, or point A. So 1 over 7 is over there, and y sub p is 4 over there, and 2, 7. So it's somewhere between those. So we'll now make a line. That's not a line, I mean a straight line, but okay. So we now got points B, A, and C. So we will now label them. So B is 3, 6. Then C is negative 2, 3. Then A is 1 over 7 and 30 over 7. And this is the graph for our internal. And yes, okay, true.
Hold up.
So we'll be doing case 2 of internal. These are the formulas that we will use. It's the same as before. And these are the points that we will use. This is the ratio, 4:3, which is m and n. Now we'll do x sub p first. So 4 is m, and we will multiply it by x sub 2, which is 3. Then the n, which is 3, multiply it by negative 2, which is x sub 1. M plus n is 4 plus 3, and that will be like that. And 12 minus 6 is 6, and then 7, just copy it. Now for y sub p, so 4 is m, and 3 is n. So 4 and 3 is m and n, which is the same. Then 6 is our y sub 2, which is over there, and 3 over there is our y sub 1 here. Then 4 plus 3 again, which is m plus n, and it's the same as 7. So 24 plus 9 is 33 over 7. Now we will move to the graph. I already plotted the points, so we will just have to plot the x sub p and y sub p. X sub p was 6 over 7, and y sub p was 33 over 7, or 4 and 5 over 7. So 6 over 7 is between those, and our y sub p will be 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5 over 7, so it's between those, and that's our x sub p and y sub p, which is the internal. And that's pretty much it. for the blue.